Hello, my name's Tamika, and you're listening to A Walk in the Park with Animal Friends.
Welcome back again, Sam. So I just want to start off by saying I know that every dog is beautiful and really cute in its own way, but does every dog need to be groomed?
Oh, that's very much going to depend on your dog.
Okay.
So we have loads of different coats on our dogs. We have long-haired, short-haired, double-coated. We have different behaviour in our dogs. Some of them are
Of course.
perfect princesses who never get a spot of dirt on them. Others like to roll in fox poo every 5 minutes. So the grooming needs of your dog is going to very much depend on the individual.
Okay, yeah, I think you mentioned there about the dog's needs and behaviour. I think I've got a very anxious dog and I'm very lucky he's short-haired because groomers in my area would be missing a few fingers if he needed to go in for a cut. And then talking about that, so if he did need to go in for a cut and he has that anxious mentality, or it's just not the right time for me to be able to get him into the groomers, is there a way to be able to trim your dog's coat at home? Is that a good thing to do?
Yeah, of course. I would start with brushing. I wouldn't jump straight to cutting unless you've got a known problem. For example, if your boy had knots behind his ears or something like that, then we're going to need to bust out the scissors. But start with a brush, start with a comb, and there's many out there to suit different coats because often you can fix a problem that way.
Okay.
If you do need to move on to the clippers and the scissors, you want to be quite confident that your pet is going to stand still. I'd advise a spare pair of hands.
Okay.
The last thing we want to do is have them wiggling around and hurt them. It's the last thing any pet owner wants. So I would only bust those out where you need to, and I'd just be really prepared with the treats and that spare person to help you have a successful session grooming.
Great. And then what about bathing them, Sam? So how often should a dog be getting bathed?
Well, those dogs that are rolling in the fox poo every time they come home, if they're doing that. But as a general rule, dogs shouldn't need bathing more than 1 or 2 times a year.
Okay.
The more we bath them, the more we strip the natural oils out of their skin. And actually, that's how they are designed as animals, to keep their skin and their coat clean. So those oils come out of the skin, keep things fresh and healthy and clean and smelling good. And then when they nibble and groom at themselves, they spread that through their coat. You might find that some animals, particularly those with ongoing skin conditions, may need bathing much more regularly, and it might be as regularly as once a week.
Okay, and then in terms of the shampoo, so say for those dogs that maybe don't have any skin conditions, do we need to be cautious of the shampoo that we use, or can I just use mine?
Probably don't want to bust out the Head and Shoulders for your pet. Just because their skin needs are different. Speaking about those oils, they are different to human skin needs, and the acidity of their skin is different as well. So human shampoos can be a little harsh for our animals, but you have access to so many different options these days on the market. Make sure it is a pet designed shampoo for your dog or your cat, and just find something that smells nice and that they like.
And then this one might be a little bit random, Sam, but can a dog get dandruff?
They can, yes. They can. So there is Canine Head and Shoulders on the market, or an equivalent.
They don't need to use mine.
Other brands are available. But yes, there are conditions where our pets can have dry skin and can get that dandruff. And often these are the pets that have things like allergic skin disease or are suffering from mites, lice, conditions like that. And they may often need medicated shampoo to support with that, to help refresh the natural oils in their skin. And they are available.
So for those dogs that do have that sensitive skin issue and are a little bit itchy, is it the same like it is with the shampoo where it's not recommended to use a human moisturiser on them, or is that potentially okay?
Human moisturisers have a wealth of different ingredients in them. Some of them are very appropriate for pets and may in fact be in the pet equivalent products. However, some of them, particularly perfumes and acidity regulators, might not be right for your pet's skin. So again, I would recommend a pet product wherever you can.
Okay.
Your pets will lick off things like creams and balms and lotions, and the last thing we want is for them to eat something that can upset their stomach.
I see. And then I've heard about salmon oil being used to create a stronger skin barrier. Is that true?
Yeah, so in the same way that humans are often advised, we're advised to eat our omega-3s and 6s. Salmon oil is a great source of these for our pets. Omegas help support a natural, healthy skin barrier. Now, if you think of our skin like a brick wall, those pets that are having trouble with their skin, it's like the mortar between the bricks is starting to flake away. So there's little cracks in that skin barrier. With the omegas and the salmon oil, that mortar is refreshed. So they've got a nice healthy barrier that stops the itchy allergens getting in.
That's
How
interesting.
useful different salmon oil supplements are, it depends on the strength and the formulation. There's some science around it. There's a lot of products on the market, though. So just do your research and make sure that you're confident that what you're giving is going to help your pet.
That's great. And then I want to move on quickly to nails. So does every single dog have to have their nails clipped?
No.
Okay.
No, definitely not. In fact, dogs are designed in such a way that when they're out walking, they should keep their nails nice and short just by the action of scraping them on the ground. Particularly if you're walking on tarmac, on pavements and roads, your dog really shouldn't need a nail clip on a regular basis. Now, if you've got older pets or those that maybe struggle with walking or are arthritic, those nails are going to grow a little longer and the way your pet walks will probably change. So in those cases, you'll probably need to clip.
And if I do need to clip them at home, what are your top pieces of advice for doing that?
Be confident. And again, have a spare pair of hands with you because those pets wiggling, that makes it a moving target and a complete minefield.
Okay.
Buy the right size clippers for your pet. There are a number on the market, smaller ones for your little dogs, or if we're talking about cats as well, your cat's nails. And then you can get bigger, sturdier ones for your, I don't know, your Labradors and your bigger dogs.
Yeah.
It's not always the most comfortable thing to do. So there is a blood vessel and a nerve running through each nail.
Right.
And if you cut too short, your pet's likely to tell you about it with a yip because it will hurt a little bit. If you aren't confident, particularly if your pet has black nails so you can't see where that is, then please feel free to go and speak to your vets, or you can often get an appointment with your veterinary nurse at your local vet clinic who will have them in and out in 5 minutes with their mani-pedi sorted.
And then what about their dew claws? Do they also need to be trimmed?
So they're definitely claws to keep an eye on. They don't grow as quickly and they shouldn't grow as long. However, again, particularly older pets, they can get a little unruly and they can start to curl and cause pressure, sores and problems. So keep an eye on those and they may need clipping.
Can some dogs have them removed, or is that only just in the instance of if they've gotten too long?
They can be removed. It's not something we do routinely, but you do have some animals that are born with them kind of with 2 nails instead of 1, or with changes to how that nail attaches. Often your vet will pick this up during puppy vaccines or checks.
Okay.
And if there is a problem, they'll usually advise getting it sorted at the time that your animal's in for a neuter.
Okay. And then I want to, just before we finish, quickly jump back to what you mentioned about the quick. So if somebody does catch the quick in their dog, on their dog's nails, what is it that you recommend they do? I've heard there's a powder that you can use.
You can get a number of powders, kind of pencils that would almost cauterize the nail end.
Okay.
They can be variable in their effect and also can be a little bit stingy and painful for your pets. So have a look and see what's out there and what you're comfortable using. But the first thing to do is remember, don't panic. It looks a lot worse than it is.
Okay.
A bit like if we prick a fingertip, it bleeds like stink, but actually it's a very little amount. It just looks a lot.
Okay.
So best thing you can do is apply some pressure. Get a nice damp cloth or damp tissue and press it on there. Get somebody else feeding some treats to your pet so they sit still and let you keep it on there for a good 5 minutes. And at the end of that, if you take it away, your quick should have stopped bleeding at that point.
Okay.
If it hasn't, that's the point where you should pick up your phone and give your vet a ring and just check it's nothing that's going to need a little bit of veterinary intervention to fix.
Great. Thank you so much, Sam.
No problem.
Thank you to all of our listeners. You can find out news about our podcast on our Instagram or TikTok handles, which is at Animal Friends Insurance, or on our Facebook page at Animal Friends Pet Insurance.